Oh, it's a Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Berryessa Community Center. We're going to be getting started, so if everyone could please take a seat. So we're going to start this Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council meeting on this day of March 7th, 2025, and it's approximately 7:04 p.m. I'm Dr. Roxanne Fuentes, the president for BCAC, as well as your proud superintendent for the Berryessa Union School District. Now, this evening, we have lots of special celebrations that we're going to be acknowledging. But before we start our official agenda, we do have a dear friend of ours that recently passed away. And we'd like to dedicate this meeting in his honor. Many of you may be very familiar with our BCAC friend, Mike Flauher. And so Mike Flauher unfortunately passed away on Saturday, February 22nd. I know myself as the superintendent, he was one of the first people that I met here in Berryessa and was just a wonderful man. And I'd like to read a little bit about him. You know, if I could have someone from BCAC please step out and let our person at the front desk know about the HVAC noise, that'd be great. Thank you. Mike Flauher was a longtime Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority director who represented Milpitas on the board and passed on Saturday, February 22nd. As director of District 2, Flauher also represented communities from North San Jose and Berryessa. He first joined the authority as a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee in 2012 before being elected to the board in 2014. Through his extensive public service career, Flauher held leadership roles in organizations including the Bay Area Ridge Trail Council, Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council, Berryessa Business Association, Santa Clara County Parks and Recreation, volunteer coordinating committees, and the San Jose Parks and Recreation and Neighborhood Service Commission. An Air Force veteran, Flauher served in the Air Force Reserves for 15 years and worked for the National Semiconductor for over 20 years. The authority will be publicly honoring him at a future board meeting, and there will be many other special memorials this next upcoming month on his behalf. Please be sure to reach out to us if you'd like any information regarding those details. And so with that, if we could just have a quick moment of silence in his honor. Thank you, and again, our thanks and appreciation to Mike Flauher, a very good friend of BCAC. So again, moving on to our agenda, we have our minutes for our previous meeting. Ty will be posting those and getting them out to you. Yes, thank you. And this evening, Susan Fowle did share there is no treasurer's report, so we will follow up with that next month. We have several of our law enforcement agencies here this evening to provide you with a brief update. Again, if you have any significant questions, if you can keep those for after our celebration tonight, because we have some very special festivities. So first, for their report, I'd like to welcome our San Jose Police Department, Captain Zuniga.
Thank you for having us today. I'll make this really quick because that can be kind of long-winded. First, I wanted to introduce one of our new lieutenants. This is Nate Bennett. He comes over from Internal Affairs with over 23 years of experience. He's going to be working the Foothill Division, and he works from Sunday through Wednesday. And he's worked for me in the past, and he's currently working for me now. Sometimes when I won't be able to attend, Nate knows that he'll be coming, and he's here for a quick introduction, and then to hear kind of how these things play out. So for the previous month, all calls for service in the BCAC area, and I cut out the west side of 680, so I made it specifically from 680 east. There have been a total of 616 calls for service. Primary calls, 121 have been welfare checks and 911 calls for service that our officers have responded to the area. Proactive policing, meaning our officers conducting patrol stops and things like that, we've had 102, and then traffic enforcement, 83. We responded to 80 disturbances and 56 suspicious circumstances. Now, those suspicious circumstances, those are our officers proactively going out into some of these different neighborhoods, up Sierra Road, up Suncrest, and some of those different areas, as well as the neighborhood community members calling in. As I always explain is, you know your neighborhoods better than anybody else. And I can't police this city. We can't police the city. We can't police the state, like the Highway Patrol, without your assistance. We truly need your help in identifying some of the different concerns that are occurring. And we always say, if you see something, say something. I'll remind you guys our non-emergency line, 408-277-8900. And if you have an emergency, it's just 911. All right? With that being said, as I'll take one quick question or any concerns. Anything? All right. Thank you.
And next, I'd like to welcome our California Highway Patrol for their monthly report. It's Officer Ross Lee.
I'll take it for Ross. Hello, everyone. If you weren't here in January, I introduced myself, but again, my name is Justin Bradford. I'm the commander of the San Jose office. Sorry I was not able to make last month's meeting. Someone should be here every month. If it's not me, it'll be Ross or someone else, but again, I apologize for missing last month's meeting. Since I've taken over in January, things have been very busy in San Jose. We've worked hand in hand with San Jose PD almost daily during the month of February. There's a lot of school walkouts for immigration rights. So our role as a CHP is just to make sure that the students are safe, that their First Amendment's protected, and most importantly, that they're not going onto the freeways. A lot of you might have seen the news in LA earlier in the month of February that the freeways were taken over. So as a commander, it's just my goal to make sure that their safety is important. Going on the freeway is not safe for anyone. But we've partnered well with the city of San Jose and some of the other allied agencies. I don't have a lot to share tonight, so I will open up to a few questions. If you don't get your question in or you don't want to speak in public, make sure you're emailing Ross Lee. Everyone should have his contact info. He's been here forever. But yeah, some of the things new in San Jose, recently we just found out that we're getting 11 trainees. So I just visited them today at the CHP Academy. They'll graduate next Friday, the 21st, I believe it is, and they'll report to our office on March 31st. It's significant because I already have 17 trainees right now. So if you add 11, that's around 28 trainees that are going to be in our office. There's a number of reasons why we get a lot of trainees. Let's just face it, it's the cost of living in this area. It's very expensive even compared to LA. But we'll get them trained up. Our training process lasts about 4 months, and it's 600 hours of field training at our area. Does anyone know how long our academy is, by the way? No, okay. So the Highway Patrol has the only live-in academy in the state of California. So every officer lives in the academy for 6 months. You get weekends off, but it's a pretty long time that our employees go up there and learn to be officers. And after their 6 months statewide, there's usually about a class of 140 that are graduating, and statewide they get sent from Sacramento to San Jose to up north to down south. And it's based on your academic score. So if you do better in class, you get first pick. If you don't do so well, you might end up somewhere you don't want to. But having that said, that will allow me to get a little more staffing. So something that will impact you directly. Just this month, we have finally one of our motor officers, Officer Calvin Lewis, will be back out of the office, back on the road, doing enforcement in various parts of the area. He was reviewing our crash reports for the last probably couple years based on staffing, but we were able to get him out March 1. He'll still be involved a little bit in the office, but again, those emails that you have to Officer Lee, any complaints, just let him know and we'll try to address those. Last month, I also personally drove this area, including Alum Rock Road and Ross, what's the other road I can never pronounce? Thank you. Yeah. So I learned a little bit back when I worked here in 2012, 2013, and 2020 as a sergeant. I never knew that road existed. I knew about Sierra Road. I knew about Alum Rock, but that area. So just a little education. It's a very unique road because it goes to Alum Rock Park, right? By the way, it's beautiful. You're very lucky to have that beautiful piece of property. Once you get to the end of it, there's this 200-yard, I'm just estimating, piece of land, and there's 2 speed humps and I think close to 14 signs, and that's our jurisdiction. So it's very well, that has a lot of signage, and it has 2 speed bumps. But that's our area. And I did a little research, and through the last 5 years, there has not been one crash that we have came out there and taken. We have responded twice in 5 years and handled crashes as a courtesy for San Jose Police, but that's how safe our 200 yards is. I did learn some frustrations. I know that the parking lot, I drove it myself. It's very small. But just understand that Highway Patrol, like, we cannot control the parking lot of a city-owned park. But again, it's beautiful, and I can imagine on the weekends, it's very crowded and can get dangerous. But I did let all our employees know in an email communication that, hey, we do have a little piece of land, and it'd be nice to go out there every once in a while. I also drove Alum Rock Road pretty high up there. Got a little, I don't like heights, but you go up there and it's such a beautiful view, but yeah, there's a lot of signs out there too. Any questions for me? I know I didn't give a lot of crime stats or anything, but any questions or concerns or comments? No? All right, well, thank you. And I do, my condolences for your lost community member as well. Yeah.
Okay, can we give another round of applause to our law enforcement agencies here? We appreciate you all being here this evening with us. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to a very exciting part of this agenda, and this is to recognize our 39th annual Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council Citizen of the Year. And in order to make that introduction, I'm going to invite Eric Pennington to come on up here so he can share with you a little bit about this very special individual. As you all know, it's always a surprise, so this person has no idea that they're being recognized for this honor today.
All right, good evening, everybody. I was blessed with getting the Citizen of the Year last year, so you're blessed with me again this year. Anyways, BCAC has chosen to recognize a member of our community that represents a lot of our values, that contributes a lot to our community. We wrote up a bio that we can explain. She has been a longtime member of our Berryessa community. She's a leader who brings infectious joy to her work. She was born in Vietnam. She and her family made their way to California, where she eventually graduated from UC Berkeley. She then pursued a master's degree in library science. She started her career as a librarian in 2001 with the San Jose Public Library and worked at various branches, using her strong interpersonal skills to serve the community, collaborate with different community leaders and partners, and provide a culturally diverse programs. In 2011, she was promoted to branch manager and has been serving the Berryessa community ever since. She and her husband raised 2 daughters in Berryessa, with both girls attending the local schools. She has a gift for leadership as an advocate for the staff who work for her, as well as for the community members she serves at the library. Under her direction, the staff of the Berryessa Branch Library provide hundreds of fee-free public programs each year, collaborate with local schools and community groups, and ensure a welcoming space for the entire community. She truly has a gift for people. She brings care and compassion to the development and nurturing of staff and their skills. Her tireless passion for public service is evident in her daily work and commitment to the people of San Jose. So with this, we provide congratulations to Candace Tran, the branch manager of the Berryessa Library. Congratulations.
Oh, wow. She really tricked me. She said that she needed an update from our local library. And so I came with flyers and everything. I just told my boss, I said, "Boss, you're here." I was so surprised. And I was ready to go up here and share with you, we have the Friends book sales coming up. But it was a fantastic journey. It was a journey filled with so much support from the people in this room. It was a journey for a little girl who came from Vietnam and does not speak a word of English. But I found a haven in a public library in Cleveland, Ohio. And that's where I discovered my love of public libraries. And so I grew up wanting to be a lawyer, actually. But it's just life. It led me to the public library. And I've been with SJPL since 2001. And I just fell in love, and I will stay with SJPL. It has been a pleasure to work with everyone. It has been a pleasure to partner with you. And look at my husband. He did not, oh my God. What a surprise. Thank you so much for this honor. Thank you.
Well,
Don't get off that easy.
yeah, we're not done, Candace, so you need to stay right here.
Okay.
And we'll take those flowers from you
Okay.
before we continue, because there's lots of folks here that want to recognize you and recognize your good work. But before we do that, if I could have the BCAC board come up so we can take a quick photo with Candace up here, and then we'll continue with all our other VIPs that are here to say congratulations. Okay.
Sorry. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay. So let's take this one because there's many more.
Oh.
So again, just to Candace's testimony of how wonderful she is, we have so many fantastic people that also want to say congratulations to you. So with that, let's go ahead and begin with Congressmember Khanna's office. Mr. Nguyen?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to represent Congressman O'Connor. During this time, you know that he's very busy in DC to do everything he can. So I'm here. Actually, I'm from Vietnam too. Yeah,
Yes, I figured.
we are from the same area, and I was a student at Berkeley too. Yep. So we're the same here. So anyway, Congressman O'Connor, I would like to congratulate you for your leadership and for your passion to serve the community. And we send the cert from the Congressional Special Search for Candice Strand, Season of the Year Award winner, and in recognition of your leadership, your passion, and your dedication in serving the Bay Area community, Congressman O'Connor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I would like to welcome Elizabeth from Senator Wabb's office.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name's Elizabeth. I'm here on behalf of State Senator Dr. Aisha Wahab. And on behalf of Dr. Wahab, we hereby recognize you for your dedication and leadership to the Berryessa community. Your passion for public service, advocacy for library access, and commitment to cultural and educational programs have enriched the lives of many. As branch manager of the Berryessa Branch Library, your leadership fosters inclusivity, learning, and collaboration, making a lasting impact on residents. Your tireless service and commitment to the people of San Jose embody the highest ideals of community engagement. Thank you and congratulations.
Here we go. We're gonna take 2. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. Got it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We still have more.
Oh.
And next, I'd like to bring up Tim Orozco, representing Assemblymember Alex Lee's office.
Candace, congratulations. Wow, well deserved, right? Alex Lee, the assembly member, recognized her last year in May. You know, he saw the gift that she gives to the community, that she is a gift, and recognized her at his May AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage event. So Alex recognizes you, and I'm recognizing you on behalf of the assembly member today for your service to our community. I told you I'm a proud Berryessan. I grew up here, but you know, to learn that in 1979 you came with your family from Vietnam. I didn't know you didn't know a word of English. I mean, you know, at 11 years of age, wow, and look how far you've come. She truly is the American dream, right? This is when we talk about immigrants, she's an example to all of us. So thank you, Candace, for all your work. You were at the 10th anniversary of the Berryessa Branch Library. You were at the 20th anniversary, and I learned something about you over the weekend, and that is, this is someone who likes to work in the trenches. She likes to be a branch manager. She likes to be with the kids, with the families. You know, promotion or not, she likes to be at that ground level, working with people and making a difference. And truly you have made a difference. So congratulations and good luck to you. And hopefully you stay with us because we love having you here. Okay, we'll look at Elizabeth first, without her. Okay, and then, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Next, I'd like to welcome Megan, representing Senator Cortese's office.
Hi, I'm with the Office of Senator Dave Cortese, representing the 15th Senate District in the California State Senate. The senator is so sorry he couldn't be here today. It's also getting busy up in Sacramento, and he's, I think, authoring 25 pieces of legislation this year. So it's a little hectic right now, but he wanted to recognize the tremendous work that you're doing, your passion for public service, your commitment to library programs, and your persistent advocacy for both staff and residents in Berryessa, in San Jose. And he wanted to present this commendation. You.
Thank you. And next, we'd like to welcome from Santa Clara County Supervisor Otto Lee's office. Hi there. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Tae-Vu Nguyen. On behalf of Supervisor Otto Lee, this year he will be the president. And with the board, we have the plaque for Candace Tran. We want to thank you for your leadership, for your outstanding service, and then also for unwavering effort to enhance the quality of life through library to help our residents. So once again, thank you. We have the plaque here to present to you.
Thank you so much, Ann. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Your office space is good.
I know.
Next, we'd like to welcome, representing the city of San Jose, our council member, David Cohen.
Well, this is so great. We've been celebrating a lot recently, Candace, haven't we? It hasn't been mentioned, but Candace is not just the branch manager of the Berryessa Library, but she's also the branch manager of the Alviso Library. So we're grateful to have her as a branch manager for the I say there's 2.5 libraries in District 4 because Education Park is right on the border, but the two that are all in District 4, Candace is our branch manager. She's a wonderful branch manager, and people know how much I love the libraries in San Jose. First, I want to also welcome Jill Bourne. She's the city librarian, and she's here tonight to help us celebrate. But I noticed that Candace started as a librarian in 2001, the same year that I joined the Library Commission as a commissioner. So she and I guess, have been involved with San Jose libraries for about the same amount of time, and it's really exciting to see what she's done with the Berryessa Library. The programming we have there is amazing. The cultural celebrations we have are incredible. And the Berryessa Library is the busiest library in the city of San Jose. Other than this downtown branch, there are 23 branch libraries in San Jose, and Berryessa is the busiest. And so it's a testament, obviously, to our community and our love of libraries, but also the great programming and work that Candace does with her staff to make sure that the library is a welcoming place for everyone. My kids were raised on story time and books and computers there at that library. I know that's true of many of the people in this room and in this community. So thank you so much for everything you've done. We celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Alviso branch. We celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Berryessa branch. In both those cases, I presented you with one of these, but those were for the building. This one is for you.
Thank you so much.
And next, representing Santa Clara Valley Water District, Richard Santos.
Fancy seeing you,
Good evening. I'm Vice Chairman Richard Santos of the Santa Clara Valley Water District. And when you speak about the library, Vice Mayor Marge Matthews got the Alviso Library in 1998. It just seemed like yesterday. And it's beautiful and people use it all the time. On behalf of the 7 board members representing over 2 million people, we really appreciate all the work you've done, a certificate of recognition and appreciation. And thank you for taking care of the Alviso Library. Thank you.
Yay. Yeah, no, not yet.
Oh.
We still got a little more.
Oh.
A little more. Next, I'd like to introduce from San Jose Evergreen Community College, Trustee Tony Alexander. Is he here? Okay, we'll see if he steps in a little bit later. We'll move on. Eastside Union High School District, Trustee Brian Doe. No, okay. That's okay, because I know your good old Berryessa Union is here. They're in the house. So let's have all of our trustees from Berryessa Union School District come on up, being represented by our board president and also a BCAC Citizen of the Year, Trustee Thelma Boak.
Thank you, Dr. Fuentes. Congratulations to you, Candice. It's just reminded me of when I was young. I came here as a 10-year-old little girl from the Philippines, not knowing a word of English either. So we have that same background. And my teacher told me, you go to the library and read everything you can. And I tried to do that. But anyway, it was a wonderful haven for me. It was peaceful and just having in my own little world of books. So thank you for that. I just wanted to let you know, Candice, thank you very much for your dedication to our students in Berryessa. They love going to your library. They do. And my own grandchildren as well, they just love going there. Anyway, I would like to call on my, oh, there they are. There they are. My fellow trustees, Hugo Jimenez, who is the vice president, and Jay Srinivasan, who was president the year before. And I would like, it was wonderful. working with these wonderful trustees in Berryessa Union School District. So here it is. I would like to read what's in here. It says Berryessa Union School District Certificate of Appreciation for Candice Tran in acknowledgement and recognition for BCAC Citizen of the Year, signed by Dr. Fuentes and members of the Board of Trustees of the school district. Congratulations.
And I know just Candace goes above and beyond for our students in Berryessa. Always know we can count on her to ensure that not only are they continuing to love and enjoy reading, but even more importantly, that they're safe after school. And she makes sure that the library is always an open place for them. And so thank you for doing that. And last but not least, we also want to have an opportunity for Jill Bourne, our librarian for the city, to come on up. It was such a wonderful joy to chat with her and let her know how special you were to the Berryessa community, and to have her say, you know, can I say a few words too? Because Candace is amazing, so.
Hi, thank you, Roxanne. I'm gonna give you that. You're welcome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for honoring this incredible woman. I'm Jill Bourne, City Librarian. I joined the library about 12 years ago, and I think Candace was one of the first people I met. She was part of a staff group that came to meet me at City Hall right after I interviewed with the city council and got sworn in all in one day. And I was new to San Jose, and I was like, my eyes were like this big, taking it all in. And this wonderful woman walks up to me, and I swear, in my mind, she like gave me a hug and welcomed me, and that kindness and the warmness that Candace brings to the libraries. It's just, you all know, it's part of who she is. It's part of what makes her so special. And I'll just say, I mean, you've heard lots of wonderful things about her work. There's an old saying that says, a good library builds collections and a great library builds community. And I would say if Candace's superpower is anything, it's taking everybody who comes near those libraries and turning it into a giant family, a giant community where their needs are respected and their community is celebrated and loved. And she just is such a treasure to us that I'm so glad everybody who's been up here tells her to stay, because that's what we tell her all the time. It was mentioned earlier, once I did promote Candace, because she is wonderful, into management. And you were there about 6 months, maybe, and she came to me one day and she said, "Boss, I want to go back to my branches." And I was like heartbroken, but I was actually heartbroken to take her out of the branches, because it's such a treasure to have somebody that can build community the way she does, take care of, and you know that everything's great in Berryessa and Alviso, right? And to just see her be honored and valued by you all is so heartwarming, and we just love you, Candace. So these flowers are from our entire management team, who some of whom are here tonight, but we just wanted to celebrate you. Thank you. Can you take that?
And so with that, we know that we don't do this work alone. And so if we could not only give Candace another round of applause, but if we could bring her family up, her family can come on up here, because Candace surrounds herself with a great group of folks for support at home. And I know they're so proud of you.
I came home from work thinking I need to eat something before I come to this meeting. So I went home and both of them was like, "Mom, you need to dress up." And I said, "What I'm wearing to work is fine. It's casual professional. It should be good. He said, no, Mom, let me pick out something for you. And that's what she did. What is the best kept secret? And thank you so much. I see my other boss there, and there's my other boss right there behind me. So thank you so much for the support and the love. Oh my God. I feel like I'm an Oscar winner, by the way. Thank you. Thank you for all of this.
Yeah, of course.
Truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Did we get a family photo? A family photo? This one. There you go.
I've never taken this many photos.
Well, thank you. That concludes this part of the celebration, but we're so thankful for you.
Thank you.
Mhm. And we have we'll help you carry this home, okay? And so the celebration isn't over just yet. We do have cake in the background for afterwards, but we have one more special moment for this meeting. So it is also tradition, besides celebrating our Citizen of the Year, that we also take some time to learn a little bit more about Berryessa's cultural history and traditions. And so tonight we'll be learning all about the Portuguese history here in Berryessa. And I would like to thank Margie Matthews, who prepared a wonderful presentation. And I know she had lots of collaborators to help her get all of that info for us. And Dick Santos also for helping to arrange special treats and things like that for us tonight as we celebrate our Portuguese history here in our community. So Margie, welcome.
Where's my computer?
Yeah, he's gonna bring it right over.
Well, that was a wonderful celebration, and it's really nice to be back at BCAC. I haven't been here for a while, but it's back to school now.
Here's the computer.
Oh.
Can we put it up here?
It's at your own risk.
I won't lean.
Don't lean on it too much.
Can I don't go away yet. What am I
You
doing?
want to try your fingerprint?
What is that?
Just rest your finger on it.
I don't think I did it.
And didn't program that. Yeah, try again. Fine.
Okay. Well, when Asita Kern and Linda Locke asked me if I would help them find a speaker for the Portuguese in Berryessa, I said, sure, that's wonderful. I'm really happy you're going to do that. I'm sure I can find someone. And I spent the next 3 weeks looking for someone and couldn't find anybody. A wonderful Joe Machado, who founded the Portuguese Historical Museum, would have been perfect, but he was going to be out of town. And I was just drawing blanks. I'm retired now, so my connections aren't as strong. But I put their mind at ease. I said, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to find somebody. If I can't, I'll do it. Okay, so just take it off your plate. I know I'll find someone. Anyway, I've spent the last week studying my head off to get this presentation together, but very happy to do it. It's based on my own history. I am half Portuguese. My grandparents came from the Azores through Hawaii to the Bay Area, as so many Portuguese did. And then I was very active with the Portuguese Historical Museum when I was still working. But again, it's been a long time, so. And I was greeted tonight, by several members of the Portuguese Historical Museum, so I feel so comforted and supported now, so I give you permission to correct me, add, subtract. I don't know if this is right or not, but I'll do the best I can. And it's going to be mostly the Portuguese in California and the Bay Area. Berryessa, I know there were lots of farming families in Berryessa who were Portuguese. Tons of people lived in the foothills who built their own houses as we did. But I don't have current names, but just know that they are among us here in Berryessa. So I want to start with the homeland. The homeland actually was not, for the most part, Portugal. The homeland were two sets of islands off the coast of Portugal, the Azores and Madeira, about 900 miles away in the case of the Azores. Now, who were on the Azores? Well, no one was there for a very long time. The Portuguese were the first explorers to arrive in 1400s. This was the great age of exploration of the Portuguese navigators. Or were the Portuguese the first? Because now archaeological evidence is seeming to show that the Vikings were actually the first from northern Europe. So I'm sure it's disputed among some of the Portuguese, but I had to say that tonight, that it could have been the Vikings and not the Portuguese. The first permanent settlers were brought to the Azore Islands from Flanders, from Belgium, and they were Flemish settlers. And I always attributed this to the fact that my grandfather had blue eyes. So they've come from the Azores. Portuguese in general, and the Azoreans particularly, are a multitude of ethnicities. They really are. Mainly due to the travel that the Portuguese did, sailing all around the world. And I did learn that Columbus stopped at the Azores on his way home from his trip in 1492. I think there was trouble there, but I don't want to go into the detail because I didn't quite understand it. Then when did they come to the United States? Well, the first Portuguese, as I mentioned, were explorers, whalers, and mariners. They loved to sail. In 1422, Magellan's ship was the first to navigate the globe, Portuguese. In 1542, João Rodrigues Cabrillo, and do you notice how that is spelled? He was Portuguese, that's a Portuguese spelling. It's not spelled correctly anymore, but he was the first one to reach, first European to reach California. And then I found that in 1634, there was actually a Portuguese person in the 13 original colonies. His name was Matias de Souza, and he was a registered citizen or colonist in the colonies. In the 1800s, when a lot of sailing was happening, the Azoreans were recruited on the whaling ships, and they arrived in New England and San Francisco. Those two places, because they were whaling centers. You know about Nantucket and New Bedford. There's lots of Portuguese in Massachusetts and New Jersey and Rhode Island to this day, and there's lots of Portuguese in California. And there are no Portuguese in between, I'm afraid. You go across the United States, you won't run into another Portuguese probably, but that's where we are. In the 1850s, of course, we know that 1849 was the gold rush. So a lot of Portuguese jumped ship when they got to California and ended up settling around the Sacramento Valley and became what they knew best, farmers, particularly dairy farming. Now, the first so-called wave of Portuguese immigration was between 1878 and 1911, and during this period, nearly 16,000 Portuguese immigrated to the United States. Why? Why they all do, to seek a better life. And I put this map here, which I think is interesting because I heard about this from my grandparents. They would leave the Azores, go all the way around the Horn, through the Straits of Magellan and over to Hawaii. A very, very long trip. But they had nothing for them in the Azores. They couldn't own land in the Azores. The islands were small. All the land was owned by titled landowners. The land had been given to these single families by the crown in Portugal. And so there was really no land. And population was growing, no jobs, no land. So they they decided to leave. And I often would say to my grandparents, I mean, the trip took a very, very long time, and it was just remarkable that they would risk a trip like that. And where did they go? They went to Hawaii, from one set of islands to another set of islands. And when I went to the Azores, which are beautiful, I said, why did they leave? It's gorgeous here. But I just understood why they left. There were no jobs, there was no land, there was nothing to do but take their families and find a better life. The journey was remarkable. At least 29 trips were made by ships that look like this. This is a picture of a ship called the Hankow, and it's a painting of a ship that my grandfather sailed on. He was 10 years old. His mother took the children, and they left, this is a quote, the old man at home. The old man did not want to come. So the woman took her children on this ship. Some went to Massachusetts, but most of the ships went around the Horn to Hawaii. It took at least 3 months. Can you imagine? There were deaths aboard these ships, there were births aboard these ships. I found this in my records, because a while ago I did do quite a bit of heritage history. This is a listing of the ships that sailed, most of them. The one I've highlighted in green was the Hankow. And if you look closely, you'll see there were 1,462 passengers, and I think I have to use that term lightly, passengers. They had to be in steerage, right? I mean, they were not 1,400 people on this ship. And the children were 718 children, including my grandfather, who was 12 years old. That particular ship, 55 died on board during the voyage, mostly children, measles epidemic. How hard must it have been for them to risk this? And 16,000 Portuguese came and risked their life out of necessity. When they got to Hawaii, they had already signed work contracts to work on the plantations for a set period of time, from 5 to 7 years. They had to live on the plantations and work on the plantations. They were provided housing, some medical, some schooling, and a small plot of land to plant their own vegetables. My father always said his parents were indentured servants. That was the term they called it. They were indentured servants. And they themselves, in their case, they renewed their contract, so they were both there. My grandfather arriving when he was 12, my grandmother, a separate family, arriving when she was 6, for about 12 years before they came to California. And many Portuguese stayed in Hawaii. There's a big Portuguese presence in Hawaii. When they arrived in California, they went to specific places. If they wanted to get into the fishing industry, they went to San Diego or Monterey. If they wanted to get into farming, they went to the Central Valley or Santa Clara Valley. If they wanted to go to more cities, they would go to Oakland, which is where my grandparents went. At the time in, 1864, the Homestead Act was passed, and people could settle on lands if they were unoccupied. They had to live on the land, they had to work it for 5 years, and the land would be theirs. This was happening all across the western United States, and I'm sure many of the Portuguese took advantage of that Homestead Act. And when they got here, in their towns, their farming towns, of their cities, they established businesses, they established their institutions, their clubs, their supportive social organizations for one another. There were fraternal organizations for the men and organizations for the women, and they settled in and they tried to blend in and be good Americans and work hard working. I think all immigrant workers are hardworking, but I'm sure this group was too. And why did they come? We know this, but I had to put it in there. They came for land, they came for jobs, they came for opportunity, they came for a better life for their families. We all came that way. All of our ancestors did. The Portuguese in Santa Clara County did, what they knew best, farming. Again, worked hard, bought land, bought crops, predominantly dairy farming, and I know if you go, well, we'll talk about the museum in a minute, but there's a listing of all the Portuguese families in Santa Clara Valley, and the farms, many of the farms still exist, many dairy farms. Their cultural center became their church. They're very devout Catholics, and Five Wounds Church was their cultural center, and around it became known as Little Portugal. Shops, businesses, fraternal organizations, schools, all centered on this area of Little Portugal, which is, sure you know where it is. It's where Santa Clara becomes Alum Rock Avenue, between 23rd Avenue and 34th. And I have to point out this 23rd Avenue, as I mentioned, my grandparents went to Oakland and lived in a specific part of Oakland, which was 23rd Avenue. And it was called Jingletown. And there were everyone was Portuguese. I was born in San Leandro, everyone was Portuguese. They also brought their traditions with them, the Holy Ghost processions and parades with the queens at the court. It was because of their devotion to Saint Isabel, the Queen Isabella, who was known to have fed the poor. And every Portuguese church at some point around Pentecost, that when the Holy Spirit descended upon the disciples, and gave them their spirit, this was what this festival was honoring. They have folk dancing, the chamarita, I can recall as a child, and a feast, and they generally call it the festa, the fiesta. They also had traditional marching bands, which they have to this day. Then there was a second wave of immigration. And it happened in the 1960s. It was a volcano, a huge volcano on the island of Fayal, Capalinos. It started as something that looked like it was out in the ocean. In fact, it looked sort of like whaling. Whales were out there. And it got larger and larger. It eventually moved to land. It was an enormous volcano. And it erupted over a period of more than a year. And it changed the contour of that particular island. It wiped out homes and farms, and the ash and the sand and the lava just spread and made living impossible in that part of the island. And inhabitants lost their homes and their farms. But I was told no one died except one cow. Is that true? My Portuguese friends are here, so remember, you're going to hold me to this. Because of this, the United States passed an Azorean Refugees Act. And the sponsor of this bill was one John F. Kennedy, who was a senator at that time from the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Remember, there were a lot of Portuguese in Massachusetts, too, because of the original whaling. So that allowed 5,000 Portuguese to come to the United States. So we had a whole influx here in San Jose of new Portuguese. They revitalized Little Portugal. They rebuilt their church. They rebuilt their institutions, and they became, very prosperous. They bought land. They, had businesses, and really revitalized this part of San Jose. So it's really a treasure now, a treasured neighborhood in San Jose. And their Five Wounds Church became the Five Wounds Portuguese National Church. By 2020, in the census, there was 1.5 million Luso-Americans, and Luso in Latin means Portugal, and 350,000 in California. I think that number is low, but I didn't have time to check it. It's higher. That's what I thought. Okay, strike that. There are still family farms in Portugal. There are many businesses in Portugal. I can't name them all, but I know Peter's Bakery like I know the back of my hand. Silva Sausage was here for years. If you buy linguiça now in the grocery stores, it's Portuguese. And Adega Restaurant became the first restaurant in San Jose to get a Michelin star. So our heritage is very strong here. And, I hope you know of other Portuguese businesses that I'm not naming. Now, where are all the Portuguese? They're hard to find sometimes. And the reason is that they've changed their names. During immigration, their names were misspelled, or the immigration officers took the wrong name. And we ourselves changed our names. We anglicized our names so that Rodriguez became Rogers and Pereira became Perry, and Mora became Moore, and my name, Matus, became Matthews. My grandfather changed his name to Matthews when he arrived in California. I urge you to visit the Portuguese Historical Museum. It's called the Imperial, named after the original church. I don't know. Yeah, the church that was where Five Wounds is now, there was a church called the Imperial on that site. It's a wonderful museum, and when I was preparing for this, I went to the museum, and Joe Machado, who is just so wonderful, he could not come tonight because he was going to be away, so I followed him around the museum while he talked. And I came home and I wrote down every single thing he said. And that's what this is. But there, you can see artifacts, you can do your own research. It's just a wonderful place. My daughter was married in front of this church. She didn't want to get married in church, but she didn't know, but she got married under the Holy Ghost right there in that church. There are other museums too, Chinese, Vietnamese, there's Poetry Center, there's a glass center. It's a wonderful 14 acres of history that I encourage you to go to. Learn your ancestry. It makes you feel better about yourself if you appreciate, what your grandparents did to get you here. I want to acknowledge the Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council for doing this. I'm so happy and proud to be Portuguese. Joe Machado, I mentioned, was a real great source of information. There's a wonderful woman called Sylvia Carroll, who's a treasure, and this picture is a book that her aunt wrote, and I have all copies back there free. You can have those books if you like. Her aunt came and settled in Dublin, Walnut Creek area, but it's the same story. It's the same story, wherever you talk to Portuguese. There's also books I've been reading, I've read long ago, and I reread the stories my grandma never told about women and Portuguese women here in the Bay Area. Dick Santos and his family has been here since the beginning. He's going to come and say a few words in a minute, and he brought refreshments for all of us, so I appreciate that. And I want to thank my grandparents, Francisco Matus and Mariana de Souza Larondo, for remembering for me, for my parents, and I will remember and pass that on. So thank you very much. Now, there's another part to this. I'm going to ask Dick to come up, but first, I was so pleased to see people from the Portuguese Historical Museum come, so I'd like you to come forward, and so we can be surrounded by you. And I want you to, let's see, Mary, Dick Santos, Jerry Escobar, the president of the Portuguese Historical Museum, was here earlier, but he had a family medical emergency, he had to go. I would like to ask you to say one thing about the Portuguese community here, or two, to expand on what I've said. I think I warned you ahead of time.
Yeah. I'm Mary Al Sheikh. I was Rodriguez, never Rogers.
Never Rogers.
Never. And I went to San Jose State, went away for 20 odd years, came back when my kids wanted to go to school. So I've been involved with the Portuguese community like forever. But actually this week, believe it or not, is Immigrant Week. Ronald Reagan, when he was governor, decided that March 7th, the first, that week, would be known as Portuguese Immigrant Week. So every year we have a wreath laying ceremony up in San Leandro. And then there's things that go on throughout the community. And we do have a large Portuguese community all over the place. So I'm also involved with the Portuguese Museum. I've been on the board for 20 odd years, let's say. And we have our annual Dia de Portugal, which is always around the 10th of June, which we were not independent from anyone, let's say, right? So to make up our own independent type day, we chose the death of our most famous poet, Camões. He died on June 10th. So that became our Day of Portugal, celebrated all over the world. We have a festival down at the park, at History Park that Marjorie mentioned. It's free and open to the public. There's all kinds of Portuguese food. We can have Indian food because the Goans will be coming. We can have Brazilian food. We can have grilled sardines. Anything that anybody thinks people will like becomes part of the menu. We have Portuguese wines, Portuguese beers. We have entertainment. We have all kinds of elected officials that like to come and visit with us. So, but that's one of the things that we've been involved in for a long time. And all three of us are on the board. Mary's the treasurer. The current treasurer, excuse me. Your turn. We do have other things that are.
I'd just like to thank everybody for being here and recognizing the Portuguese. I was a product of the volcano. I came as an immigrant.
Him too.
And Joe too, and his family. And I still remember, I was 6 years old, so I remember it vaguely, but there are Portuguese people all over the country. I have a daughter in Ohio. There's been an influx of immigrants to Idaho, I believe it is.
Yeah.
So we are everywhere. The many countries, there was 14 countries at one time that spoke Portuguese or
Actually, if I can pop in, Portuguese is the most spoken language in the Southern Hemisphere. Because you think of Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, Timor, Macau and stuff. So it's recognized as the most spoken language in the Southern Hemisphere.
It's a small country with a big heart, and I thank you again, and I hope you have a chance to come to the museum, not only to see ours, but there's like the Chinese, and there's many things there. There's a barn there that talks about the valley before it became the agricultural part of the valley. I remember coming to Berryessa when I was in high school to clean house for somebody. So I remember this area, but it's been like 40 years, 50 years since I've been back over here. So thank you for welcoming us and see you at the museum.
Okay. Your turn.
And I'm Joe Faria. I'm also the director at the museum. And by the way, this year, the Dia de Portugal is on the 14th. So we celebrate the Dia de Portugal always on the second Saturday of the June.
Yep.
And yes, I also came, thanks to that volcano that you saw. That's the reason I came to the United States. I love it. I knew I would love it before I get here, because my friends would leave, come back a year later with nice clothing, money in their pocket. I knew I'd love the United States. So I adopted the American way. Even I changed my name from Jose to Joseph. I love the United States. But so I did well here. I live in Berryessa since 1974. I love this area. Also, I belong to another organization called POSO. Portuguese
Organization for Social Service and Opportunities.
So they cater, the reason for this was actually mainly to serve or to help the elderly or the needy, the Portuguese, including translation Portuguese to English Portuguese, you know how they, so it's there today and it's very strong, and we're there to serve the community. And so we also have events. So check your computer. We have events, celebrations. Somebody mentioned about chamaritas. I don't know if anybody do know what that is. So these events happen. And so thank you.
Actually, hang on a second. Actually, POSO is celebrating their 49th anniversary on the 29th of this month. So they've been around for a long time. And again, Joe Machado was one of those people that, helped start this. And this just doesn't help the Portuguese community. It helps the community around. So on any given day, you have 100+ people that are eating there on, it's a senior center. So you can have Portuguese, you can have Asians, Hispanics, whoever qualifies to go and do this. And they also deliver food to the people that cannot manage to get there. And the city just gave us a huge contract to actually hand out 30,000 frozen meals a week. So you're gonna get 7 meals, frozen meals in your house or whatever. So the city has been working with Poso in this regard. So, yeah. And we are all proud of being Portuguese.
So I'm going to call Dick Santos up now to wrap up. And while he's coming, I have to tell all the Portuguese and everybody else, I just got back from New York. In Times Square, there's a Portuguese sardine shop. And you can get sardines dated back like 100 years. I was so proud to be Portuguese. It was wonderful. Here's Dick Santos. You all know who he is.
Muito obrigado. Boa noite. That means good evening. And don't ask me to say too much more, because I don't. But it was a real honor that Marge did a great job and refreshed my memory on a lot of things. And I'm glad we're doing this. You know, the Portuguese are very loyal Americans. And when the difference between the Hispanics and Portuguese is ES. So if it's easy, it's Spanish. If it's ES, it's Portuguese. So you say Nunes, Nunes, Lopes, Lopez. So you get the idea? The truth of it is, back in when there was one country, the Pope split it up. To the left with the Portuguese, and to the right with the Spaniards. And the rest is history. So that's the politics a long time ago. Remember, Columbus went to Portuguese navigation school. Then he's Italian, and then he sailed for Spain. The Portuguese people are very, very hardworking and has strong family ties. They have immaculate homes, landscaping, gardens, fava beans, peppers, onions, cebolas. I can go on and on. That's what my family did. And when you're a young child into the Portuguese community, a little different today, but during our time, Marge and myself, you listened to your parents or capsadas, you know? It was a different time. It was hands-on. And one thing we had in common, everybody worked. Portuguese people are very generous and very colorful. If you go to Portugal, you're going to see blue, yellow, green houses, and that's just the way life is. That's what we do. We have our music, our food, and our Portuguese friends tonight helped me bring a lot of good desserts tonight. I really appreciate their time. We have linguiça, wines, olive oils, and Marge is right. Yeah, today there's a few Portuguese that live other places, but you came to the East Coast or the West Coast. And the reason you came, because if you couldn't make it, you went back to dairies or orchards or fishing. And that's just the way it was. If you go down to LA area, it's called San Pedro. It's a replica of Portugal. When I was a young kid, we all went down there, and today it's Central Valley, and we can go on and on. And then they did come to Hawaii, and the ukulele was the mandolin, and the Azoreans taught it to the Hawaiians. And all the plants are in Hawaii came from the Azores. All those beautiful colors. It wasn't natural. We brought them over. So that's facts. When it comes to Santa Clara County, the Portuguese was the first non-Asian labor, and they helped build Santa Clara County. And that's just fact. My father's side came from San Miguel, as Marge's did. My mother's side came from Graciosa, so say around 1895, somewhere in there. He jumped ship in San Francisco, didn't know where he was at, couldn't speak English, and 20 years later owned a ranch. And I worked that ranch. When you go to a port, then they came to Hawaii. So my family was around the same year, about 1895, somewhere on my dad's side. And they came to Maui Kula, and Kula, Maui is a beautiful Portuguese church. And I had a chance to go back there several times and had a chance to celebrate my 50th birthday years ago with my dad. And we went back and visited cousins and so on and brought a lot of memories back. So my dad was the first one born here. And they came to Alviso because they worked in the cannery. And again, the Portuguese was the first non-Asian labor. So when I was a kid, my cousins were Portuguese, English, and Chinese. Many of them. So we didn't know all the heartaches because we were all raised together. And we all lived in little houses in Alviso. There's 9 islands, without naming them all. And again, the Portuguese Day will be June 14th at the Historic Museum. Hope you all go. I go every year. We donate. Before my father passed, I was there and I put our names up, and he was really proud of that and really enjoyed the soupage and all the stuff that we have. All this land around here, years ago when the Berriesas were here, there was all Portuguese dairies and owned all that land up there. Many, and the doctors that came here, I met Dr. Deffinger before he passed away. He said, when I came from Ohio, I came here. My first patients were all Portuguese from the dairies and land, and I helped get started. So I really appreciated that. There is a few names that I'll mention that are famous, and we have chemists, authors, you name it, and there's actors. But I'll just share some names that we're proud of. And it's people like Karen Valentine, if you remember her in room 222, she was Portuguese. We have Jim Costa, Dutra, Congress people, very prominent. We had a vice mayor, Marge Matthews. John Vasconcellos, good friend. He was in Congress, in our state assembly and senator, 38 years. They named the bill him after. He's from Madeira, and he retired and passed away in Hawaii. Fabulous gentleman. Back with Willie Brown in all those days. You have Tony Coelho. Met him years and years ago. Very, very top congressperson. We have Billy Martin, the baseball player, the Yankees. He came from Jingotown. I got a chance he was my idol when I was a kid. Nobody knew who Portuguese were, but I knew he was, and I was real proud of that. But he was raised by his Italian mother, so he really didn't associate that much. We also have Amy Poehler, the comedian, James Franco, the actor, Carmen Miranda, great singer in the 50s, and Nelly Furtado. There's a big, huge Portuguese population in Canada, and I didn't know at the time, and so I met some folks later on. They're from India and Portuguese, and there's a big, huge Portuguese community. So Nelly Furtado had a hit song, and the rest is history. Then we have Katy Perry, the singer, an American Idol, and Cristiano Ronaldo, the soccer player. The best. You have Shawn Mendes, young singer. Yeah. And you have, of course, the chef, Emil Lagasse. And Mary Astor, the famous actress, Jetta Pinkett Smith, and Tom Hanks. That's right. And he lived in Oakland. Then he went to Sacramento, and the rest is history. So we have Vasco da Gama. And then when I was a young man in Santa Clara, we were the majority. And you were either the fire chief, you were Portuguese, and the police chief was Spanish. And that's the way it was. And when you got in trouble, they just said, come here. I'm going to tell your dad. You're straightened out. So I can say that we have some great people in our Portuguese community, and it is from 23rd Street to 34th. But one of the biggest names, and he came here in 1954, milking cows for Joe Brazil. Up in the hills, 1954, milking cows all day, living off soup. And today's probably one of the most wealthiest men, Batista Vieira, in Little Portugal. Great friend, has done a lot for the Portuguese community. And so I can go on and on about that. When it comes to POSO, you're right, the immigration and so on, helping people, that's wonderful. They do a great job. So we're very proud of our Portuguese culture and our Five Wounds area, and we keep it going. And I appreciate tonight, and thank you very much. Muito obrigado.
Thank you again, and thank you so much for taking the time to prepare all of that history so we could have a great evening of learning today. And it's not over. We have time for celebration now. We have wonderful cake and all of the treats that were brought so that you can get a little taste of Portugal here tonight at BCAC. Like to thank everyone who came out to recognize our Candace Tran, our Citizen of the Year. We're so proud of you. Thank you again. And our next meeting will be in April, Monday, April 14th, and we look forward to seeing you all then. So thank you again for joining us. Please help yourself to refreshments in the back. Thank you.